Welcome to the McAllister Report. We join John McAllister, top football evaluator, as he shares wisdom and interviews coaches and athletes from around the country. Enjoy today's podcast.
Hello, I'm John McAllister with the John McAllister Report. Today, we're going to go into Coach's Corner and talk with the new head football coach at Tiffin University. Brett Ekkens took the job back in the late winter, and he's going through his first spring football camp as a head coach. And so I thought it would be nice to meet him, talk to Brett, see who he is, find out about him, see his philosophies on coaching. He's a young guy. He's been very successful offensive line guy. That's where he's focused much of his coaching over the years. He is a Mount Union graduate, and obviously you know that as the new cradle of coaches in Ohio. Many good young coaches and older coaches come out of Mount Union. So if you'll sit back and enjoy my video podcast with the new football coach at Tiffin University, Brett Ekkens. And like I said earlier, my guest today is the new head football coach at Tiffin University, Brett Ekkens. And I will tell you the only problem I have with him, he's a Mount Union graduate. And he knows I'm joking because Matt Campbell, Jason Campbell, Tyson Veit, and all these guys that get upset at me. Coach, welcome to the area. Welcome to Tiffin. You know, I live in Upper Sandusky, so we're not too far apart.
Yes, sir. I'm happy to be here and happy to be back in Ohio. I'm fortunate, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's good. You've been pretty close. So Indiana a little bit, Michigan a little bit, and back in Ohio, and you were at Akron. But first of all, sell me on Tiffin University. You've only been there a short time, but sell me. I'm a parent watching this, and I say, hey, boy, that's a good program. So tell me about Tiffin University.
Yeah, the thing that sets Tiffin apart is the people. Coming on campus for my interview, right away I noticed that the people here make the difference. They make all the difference, and it starts in the administration, and it goes through the athletic administration and into the community. But in a short period of time, my staff has been here. The people here, they go above and beyond to make this program and this university successful. So when we have recruits on campus, we are selling three things. Number one, we're selling relationships, personal relationship with their coach. Number two, we're selling development. And number three, we're selling the people in this community and the people at this school. You can get a great education, and you can do that while being developed as a person and building great relationships.
You know, plus from my standpoint, when Tiffin was a small, almost a two building campus almost years ago, and they just continue to build and build and build. You guys have one of the nicest indoor facilities around.
Yeah, those things are all additional reasons that you should choose Tiffin. But we tell the guys this during the recruiting process: if you choose a place because of the nice uniforms or fancy buildings, you're going to be disappointed. So choose the people, and then all the rest is bonus. And we've got a lot of bonus here. We're building right now on campus a new academic building and a dorm. So we're doing a lot of work right now here on campus. It's great.
You're doing that's a lot of bonuses. Okay. Division II real quickly. Tell me about Division II football. Give me an idea. You were at Saginaw, but you've also been at Akron. You've also been at Indiana Wesleyan. So tell me about Division II football.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to coach at every level of college football. I started at Division III at Mount Union, where I played. Was there for 2 years, and then was at Akron for 2 as a GA and 3 as the O-line coach. So 5 total years there, and then Indiana Wesleyan for 3 in the NAIA, then to Division II at Saginaw Valley. And the thing that I think makes Division II football exceptional is there's a split in who is responsible for the education. And at the Division I level, it's all on the institution, right? They provide the aid. You have 85 scholarships, and there is a level of there's a level that's lost of commitment when something's given to you. Okay, with a scholarship. When we talk about scholarships at the Division III level, all of the responsibilities on the student athlete. And yes, the institution provides a great experience and those things. But what the Division II level does that I like is it splits the load between the student athlete and the institution, and allows us to have student athletes that might not be able to afford to go to school. We can make it a little bit more affordable. But there's also skin in the game from the student athlete. And I think when you have buy-in from both sides, it's a special experience.
For sure. I really agree with you. And I would say one more thing. Let's talk football real quick. Division II, and, Ashland, Doug's a good friend of mine, and Finley is a good friend of mine. But the thing is, football, pro scouts come to every campus.
Yes, sir.
In fact, you're honoring Nate Washington.
Yes, sir.
You have. So these recruits shouldn't blow. Everybody, pro scouts will come to workouts and practices and stuff.
Yeah, we had 2 at Saginaw Valley in 2022. We had two people, Trevor Nowaski and Nick Whiteside, and they both were on NFL rosters playing this past year as rookies. So it happens. And I think for us, when we sell development, we talk about 1% of our student athletes will get a chance to go pro in football, but we're there to develop 100% of our student athletes to go pro. And that's the thing that we do. There's 5 banners out in our indoor. Nate Washington, you talked about him. We're going to retire his jersey later this spring. But we're here to develop our student athletes to be the best possible football player they can be, but also to be the best husbands, fathers, workers, and leaders that they can be. That's our calling, is to develop the whole person.
I know, and you and I talked before this, and we both have one thing in common. We have a strong belief in God the Almighty, I think, and that's huge. Sir. That's huge. Yes. What it's all about. Okay, let's talk about you now, Brett. Let's talk about you. You went and the other schools, but you've been fortunate enough to gain a wealth of experience, and we talked about that a little bit. But I think what's huge, you went to Mount. You're from Kentwood, Michigan. You went to Mount. And you played 4 years. You started 4 years at center, right?
Yeah, I started for 2 years. I was a backup my freshman and sophomore year. I played on the varsity team and got a chance to play in the national championship game as a freshman and everything. So I did get to play quite a bit.
57-3 over those 4 years.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we had a great experience.
A great experience, a great learning experience. Well, tell me a little bit more about what's family like to you. Well, tell me about family. Are you married and have children, right?
Yeah, so we don't have children yet, but my wife, she was a Mount Union grad as well. Her expectations for us in football have been high everywhere I've been. So her dad was an AD at McDonald High School in the Youngstown area for a long time, and an assistant football coach. So she comes from a coaching family, grew up around it. Her expectations might be the highest of anybody. So
thank goodness she's a coach's wife.
That's right.
And the new generation of coaches, I don't know about them sometimes. That's super. Okay. So we talk about energy, and you've kind of said it, energy and communication, and we'll talk about relationships in a minute, but energy, I think it's so important, Coach. And I watched your 30-second highlight film on Twitter, on X, and you have energy. And how do you look at what kind of energy are you going to bring to Tiffin University?
Yeah, it's urgency. And for me, during the recruiting process, we're really clear about this with the student athletes. There's 3 versions they're going to get of each coach, and we need to be really consistent with each version and each place how we act. So on the field, what the student athletes can what they can gather, they're going to get from me is they're going to get an urgent coach. So I'm urgent to help them get better, and the expectations are high. And they know that. So when you have great plays, I'm going to be the first one high-fiving them and celebrating with them. When they don't meet the expectation of our urgency of practice, I'm going to make sure they know that. And we need to get lined up. We need to move faster. The flow of practice ultimately is really important to me because we only have so much time out there. We do a lot of coaching on film. Yes, we coach on the field as well. But what they can expect from me every day is that I'm going to come out there. I'm going to be the same person. And when the student athlete knows what to expect, they can be the person they need to be at practice as well. In the meeting room, that's the classroom to us. We got to be great teachers. You talk about my Mount Union background, Coach Carris. If there's one thing I took away from him in coaching, no learning equals no teaching. You have to be a great teacher, and the teaching oftentimes happens in the meeting room, which we call the classroom. And then the office is the third phase, and we want to be approachable in the office. So if we can be intense and urgent on the field, and then we can be great teachers in the film room, and then we can be approachable in our office, we believe that that's the perfect way to coach. So that's what our players get from us, is very consistent approach day in and day out.
Okay, now that all equals energy, right? By the way,
yes,
you better
sir.
have energy. The players better have energy, or it's too bad. I guess I would say there's more to it. Okay, let's talk about recruiting then. Okay, let's pretend I'm an assistant coach and I'm bringing a recruit, a 2025 guy into CU. And by the way, we'll do it at the end, but you have Junior Day, April 6th, don't you?
Yes, sir. Coming up here.
I think you have a couple, and that's April 6th is pretty close. Okay, let's go back because I don't want to miss anything. Let's go back. I'm a coach. I'm assistant coach. I'm bringing them to you. What do you expect? What do you want to see? What would be 5 things that you're looking for in a recruit?
Yeah, so for us, it starts with the film, right? So if we're looking at the film, that's our first intro to who the person is. We do background checks on Twitter, on X. So we'll go through and we'll click a student athlete's likes. And if you see what a student athlete's endorsing, you get a pretty good idea if it's football and if it's leadership things and if it's things like that, that excites us. If it's garbage, that's a strike against you. So that's the first thing we do, and then we watch the film. And when we're watching the film, each position there's critical skills we're looking for. So for our offensive linemen, for example, we're looking for great offensive line agility. So they have to be great athletes, big athletes. They've got to be powerful. How they express power is by moving people. They got to be tough. Toughness is shown by their ability to finish each play. They got to have the ability to bend. Their hips have to be below the defender's hips. And then the other thing, one thing that you can't see in the offensive line room specifically, and this takes us getting to know them, they've got to be loyal. They've got to be guys that can buy into something bigger than themselves, and that takes homework on the back end. But when we're watching film, we're looking for 4 to 5 critical skills at each position, and that's something that really helps us in the beginning phases of our evaluation process.
Good. That's good. Okay, let's go a little bit different then. What qualities are you looking for? Okay, and 2 or 3, but I mean, what qualities do you, coach, personally look for in players? I mean, I've done this for so long. I'll be honest with you. I think I can talk to a recruit for 15 minutes and have a really good idea of what he's all about.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we say, we've got a saying in our program, winners win. So we're looking for winners. Now, what a winner is, it doesn't necessarily mean that they've won all their games at their high school level, right? But winning is going to perpetuate more winning. So for us, a winner's mentality is broken down by our acronym by GRIND. So we use GRIND, another tip of our cap to my roots with Mount Union, but we use the acronym GRIND. So we want guys that are willing to give their best and understanding that their best is gonna change. That's number one. And when you talk to somebody, usually you can get a pretty good idea if they're wired to consistently give their best. Number two, we want men that'll respect one another. So they're not going to love the people that they're around on the first day, but they have to be able to respect themselves. They've got to respect their teammates, and they got to respect the authority of the coach. The next thing we're looking for is integrity. Do what you said you would do. So as we talk to them, if they're contradicting themselves, and as we talk to the people around them, if they're talking in circles, we're not looking for that. We're looking for people that can say, yes, I'm going to be there, and then follow through, or no, I can't. And then they don't do it. So integrity is big for us. Never giving up. This is the one that I think I always say resiliency died in my generation. If you look around a college campus, there's not much resiliency going on. There's not much straining. There's not much ability to push through things. And for us, we're looking for individuals that are different. And if they're not there yet, they're receptive to being developed in that area. So as we talk to them, we ask them questions like, what's something that's been really tough in your life that you had to push through? And then the third, or the final, the D is discipline and grind. So discipline for us is the ability to do something that you know is going to make you better, even if you don't want to do it. So those are the things that as we talk, we're constantly asking questions. And if they fit into those characteristics or are receptive to being developed in those areas, we know that they're going to fit our program. But ultimately, that's just how we define winners. For us, if you win on the field, it's a result of being a winning personality off the field. So when we talk about developing the whole person, we're always developing football players. It just doesn't always happen between the white lines.
Yeah, for sure. And it doesn't happen overnight.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't happen. There's no magic formula, I think. And that's totally, and I think if college coaches, I think one of the biggest mistakes young guys make is they don't listen. They don't listen. They'll look like, I can look at you right now and be thinking about everything under this. I'm not, but everything under the sun, what I'm doing tomorrow. And I don't think college coaches, even all levels, I don't think they listen. And if you listen, you're going to learn a lot about a kid. I think sometimes they're too much worried about rankings and 5 stars, and which is baloney and all that stuff. And I don't think they listen. And it doesn't sound like your players or your coaches, they will listen to the kids. And that's so important, I think.
Well, if you want to get someone if you want insight into who somebody is, you have to ask them questions. And in order to get that insight, you have to listen to it. So for us, we want to be in alignment as a staff and the questions that we're asking. And ultimately, we're in a vetting process that starts right about now for the 25s, as we've got those junior days coming up.
Yeah, for sure. And we're talking, we'll finish with that in a minute. It's like we're 17 and a half minutes. We're going fast. And I just so interesting. Okay, just a few more questions. Tell me about, not too long, about spring practice. How is that going, Brett, for you? Brett, I'm sorry. How's that going for you? Spring practice so far?
It's going well so far. I think the things that we take away, and I was talking with you earlier about this, Coach Reiser and his staff did a great job recruiting men with winning mentalities and competitors. Our guys know how to practice. They're able to execute the tempos that we want to execute, practice fast and safe. And those are things that are really important to us getting a lot of work done. The other thing that we've done is we've been very organized with periods and how we transition. And for us, it's all about building confidence inside of, like I said earlier, the expectations that are there for the day on how the coaches are going to act and how the team needs to act, how we transition, all those things. When you keep them consistent, it allows the players to know exactly what to expect when they show up. So those are the things that we've been is organized, and the guys have been competing their tails off, and it's been a lot of fun. I know I've been having a lot of fun out there. So
good. That's so super. You're practicing the snow? At my age, there's no way I'm out in that cold weather. But anyway.
Yeah, we couldn't avoid that one. That was a Saturday, and it was pretty cold. But the guys had tons of energy, and they made it fun. We had a great time.
I made it fun, and one, I'm sure you've heard this before, but you've had good coaches to work under, but Coach Carris is probably giving you some ideas. I mean, he's one of the best, and so I don't mean you've probably learned some things from that program at Mount Union.
I'm biased. I think he is the best. So my first year coaching was his last year coaching, and I had 1 year where I got to learn a lot from him. And then, I played for him as well. So there's things every single day that we're doing here that are mirrored off of what I learned as a player or as a coach. And ultimately, his genius was being able to build a team that continued to be led by players inside the program. And he did a great job building the culture, but also the thing that he did really well, he was a genius when it came to X's and O's and being able to adapt. I think that's a huge takeaway that's been very impactful. We're not going to be labeled as, we are this type of offense or that type of defense. We have to have the ability to adapt based on our players' skill sets.
That's really good. Okay. Who's the starting quarterback? No, I'm joking with you. I'm just joking. You know that.
We'll find out on September 5th.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'm joking. Okay. We've already answered this, but it's questions I always like to ask coaches. What's probably that gets you most excited in football? What gets you most excited? What do you really get?
Honestly, this is probably the offensive line coach in me. But when you have a certain skill or technique that you've been working really hard to develop with a player, and you've spent weeks on it, and it takes time, and they're not getting it perfected, and then it shows up on game film. Man, there's nothing better than that. That's something that really excites me, and that's the life of an offensive lineman, right? You're not going to celebrate you scoring a touchdown, but when you're working whatever that technique is that's been tough for that student athlete, and they perfect it and it works in a game, the excitement in the room, that's something that really excites me. And then I would say everything dealing with the team. Winning as a team is an awesome feeling. But we get 11 guaranteed competitions in the fall. If that's the only excitement that we have, wins and losses, we're going to be pretty miserable the other, 350 however many days. So that's something for us. We got to find the little things in life, and our coaches do a great job of coaching the little things, and we get excited about practicing and trying to master the skills that we're trying to get done.
Offensive line is still the most important position.
You don't got to convince me.
I coached it, but when I was a head coach, I coached offensive line, and then I coached offensive line. I could always watch running backs and quarterbacks. I think it's huge to do that. And Michigan proved that last year.
Yeah, they did.
I have one more question. Maybe what's the biggest challenge that athletes are facing today that you see?
That's a great question.
Email. What do you think is the biggest challenge, Brett?
I think the biggest challenge is the comparison, constant comparison. You've got more access to film and media than you've ever had before, and everything you see is a highlight tape. I mean, whether it's a picture, whether it's a highlight video, whatever it is, when you're seeing other people, they're not posting their bad stuff, right? So I think the hard thing is the grass is always greener, and it could be inside your team. It could be across the Division II. It could be across college football, but there's a constant comparison going on, with each athlete and all the other athletes. When I think back to my experience, yes, there was some of that, but ultimately the most important thing is your ability to get better at what you need to get better at. And I think a lot of times guys in today's day and age are worried about everybody else, when if they focused internally on what they could intrinsically on what they could improve on, they would see more benefit from that. So we really try to do a good job with our student athletes about not looking around. Don't look over your shoulder. Focus on you improving your skills.
That can apply to every athlete. I mean, male, female, cross country, anything. Just stay focused on your job. Worry about what you have to do.
Discontentment comes when you're looking at how good other people have it and you forget how good you've got it. So,
Brett, let's finish up, but I really want to promote your junior days and the spring game, April 20th. Talk to me about junior days. What do you expect? What's it like? And then what do you expect?
For us, it's a great glimpse for the 25s into our program. So they get a chance to come watch us practice. We take them over to campus and they get a chance to hear from and meet the coaches that are going to be recruiting them. And it's a great first experience of what Tiffin University football is. And it's the first step in our progression in recruiting. So for a 25 coming over and taking part in one of those junior days is going to be something that gives them a vision of, is Tiffin University someplace that I want to be?
Super. Spring game, April 20th. Anything, is that a typical spring game, or with colleges, or how are you doing yours?
So ours will be situational this year. We're setting it up so that we will be live. There'll be some live football being played, but we're going to control the situations. And we've got a few positions that are heavier in number and a few positions that are lighter. So splitting the team up and doing a traditional game didn't make a whole lot of sense. So we'll have officials and everything, and we're going to do a great job with the situations we work through. But you're still going to see some great football and really see who Tiffin's going to be in the future moving forward.
That sounds good. Okay. Well, Coach Ekkens, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. And I've got to know you a little bit. I'm going to be at a game and maybe get over to a practice and things like that, because I like to snoop around.
Yeah, come over to practice. We'd love to have you. I think the thing that's exciting when you come out to practice is you get to see everything. You get to see all the coaches coach, and I think that's the thing that's going to set us apart. We've got great coaches here, and we're in alignment with what we do. So please come over to see us practice. And
Coach, are they all the assistant coaches new? Did you keep it?
No, there's one guy on staff. He was the interim head coach, Bennett White. He's our receivers coach and pass game coordinator. He's phenomenal. He's great. He held this thing together. Coach White's he's a great coach. So I think that's the thing for us that sets us apart, is we've got a great staff, and we're going to continue to recruit winning culture and winning kids.
Again, thank you very much, Coach. I appreciate it a lot.
Absolutely. Thank you.